Greetings, good people. Happy New Year. I am so glad you are here today. I want you to meet Matthew Hale. He is the founder of We're Gonna Learn Today, Inc. in Tampa Bay. That's where he's based. Yes, Florida. And we're going to be talking about education. So if you have questions, please feel free to chime in. But this Tampa-based nonprofit has impacted over 1,500 students nationwide through culturally responsive education rooted in Black history, financial literacy, civics, music, and technology. A 2025 University of South Florida Legacy Builder Award recipient. Matthew is also the author of a 10-book Black Historical Figures Activity Workbook Series and the creative force behind WGLT's innovative biorhythms curriculum. Okay? Hear me when I tell you, where education meets rhythm, storytelling, and real world learning. Let's welcome Matthew Hale. Hi.
How you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing outstanding, Tanya. Thank you for asking.
Listen, you're pretty impressive, okay? And I'm thrilled to have you here for the audience. I want you to take us back to the moment you realized traditional education was missing the mark for Black and underserved students. Like, what problem were you trying to solve when you created We're going to Learn Today? And why was culture the starting point?
Oh, okay. Well, it started about 8 or 9 years ago. I was trying to find more ways for my grandkids to learn more about our culture and history. So it originally started with a series called Bio Rhymes, and I was like, "Hey, no brainer. Put history and music together. They love music. Put the history in there. Hey, let's go that route." So that started to take off. And then I had the idea that, hey, I can, maybe write a book or something. So I started pitching the idea to some of my friends and family. And the ideas I came up with was, let's put activities in the book. That way you kind of keep who's ever doing the books ingrained in the actual learning of that individual. And then that started with the inventors book. And then I was like, well, more people don't want to just be inventors. So let's dive into all these other places that we as Black people have accomplished great things in. So that's where it was actually 9 subjects in the beginning. And then my wife came up and was like, what about HBCUs? That became the 10th subject. So to allow people to understand that, these historical Black colleges, they offer some of these engineering and things as well. They also are D1 schools, and that you can go there and still get a great education and still get these high-end degrees and still be successful that way. And then that spawned into, well, I'm a computer engineer by trade. I worked for the DoD when I retired. I was their senior Azure architect at SOCOM. And while I was working with the DoD back in probably like 2008 or 6, one of those, they came out with smart boards. And smart board technology has been around for a long time. Well, DoD has a blank check. Well, people in the civilian world are just really getting used to that technology. By me understanding that, I was like, man, I could take uh, this curriculum and make it interactive and then get it into the school systems. That way, the teachers aren't lecturing the students, they're including them within the lecture, because at the end of the day, we're trying to get them to retain the information so that they will be able to remember it the day or two after that. So I came up with these different activities and stuff that, and then I was able to partner with like Kahoot and Educa Play, Book Widgets. They all have programs that use smart touch technology, which allows you to use it on your phone or iPad or computers with touch screens, and more importantly, smart boards in school systems. So once I did that, that was like the game changer because nobody else is doing that type of stuff, especially with Black history. And by Black history being so it's crazy, you know, they always tell you, you know, God got a plan for you. You know, when I started this, you know, 8, 9 years ago, it wasn't like in the vacuum that it is today, that it's trying to be erased and people are trying to take away books and stuff like that. But now that it's come to a head, people was like, oh, did you create this to battle that? And I'm like, no, this has been going on for, like, I've had this platform for a while. And it just came out at the right time of meeting the moment that we're in today. So those were the reasons that I started with Black history, but I expanded with financial literacy and civics and coding because those things are things that help our community continue to grow. And you know, people get the bag, but what do you do with the bag? You want the system to work for you, but you don't want to work in the system. Those things don't make sense. So if you understood what the system is, which is the government and stuff, then you'll be more prone to participate. And that's why I'm doing civics. And if you understand how money works, then you're more successful. You'll be more successful to have your money work for you long term, vice just in the moment.
Let the people know what DOD is. I'm not sure everyone knows.
Yeah, the DOD is the Department of Defense. So I'm a retired Marine. Once I got out of the Marine, well, once I retired, I came back and worked for the Department of Defense and continued to work along my brothers and sisters in the military for many years.
Completely off subject, but what do you think about this new name change, Department of War?
I think it's going back to the Department of Defense. I mean, I think that unfortunately, you know, people are trying to stamp their name in history, but in weird, odd ways. Uh, you know, and they're trying to rename different things and all this stuff. And being that just like he so-called changed it with the whip of his pen, the next person to get in and change it back. Because people, even though he says it's Department of War, nobody besides the Trump administration is calling it the Department of War. So
Amen. I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it. I'm just really glad you said it. Listen, I want to ask you, and I think this is important. Why does free access matter to you when it comes to this platform and getting this information out to young people?
because that's the other thing that was really important to me is that when I was looking for this stuff, unfortunately, I couldn't find like a lot of information on a plethora of people. The people obviously you find is Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks. But when I was looking what these people were charging, like I was seeing, like I travel a lot doing festivals and stuff. And I see people with books from Martin Luther King for a kid. It's got 30 something pages. Why is it 30 something dollars? I don't get that. Why are we raping our community to teach them the history of their people? I just don't get that. And then I also think about my mom. My mom, when my dad passed away, we were really young. She never remarried. It was four of us. And she would want us to be able to be incorporated in this knowledge given. And that's another way of me giving back to not only my community, but to the world in itself is this isn't my history. This is history that's ours. And you should be able to learn that without having to pay a crazy price. That's why it's a nonprofit. That's why we go off of donations and sponsorships and grants. Because if people really wanted to stay around, then they'll help out with donations and stuff, and it'll stay there for free for everyone.
Let me ask you, why do you think Black history is still being treated like an elective instead of part of the foundation?
Well, that's another thing. Like when I go to schools, I ask kids, what's the difference between American history and Black history? And it's crazy that I get answers
Right.
because there is no difference.
There is no difference.
But the reason I think it is the same reason that they're trying to whitewash it away, is that uh, they refuse. The crazy part about all of this is they documented all of this stuff, all of these accomplishments. The majority of the stuff that is on the site is from the Library of Congress, which is right there at the government, in DC. So they documented this, but what they never anticipated was that people really would go back and start looking at the things that they did and learning from those things so that they wouldn't make those same mistakes, so that they would continue to grow with their family and those generations. And now that they're seeing that, just like, which is great, that Black women are the most educated. Why are they the most educated? Because they sat back and they learned these things and they taught them to their kids and their nephews and their nieces, and they have continued to grow. It has taken many, many years for us to get to where we're at today, but they're like, hey, this has got to be stopped. Why are, because the question is, why are Black women, when we're only 13% of the population, the most educated, and all these other demographics are not? So they're trying to put a stop to that, and this is their way of doing it, in my opinion.
We started this conversation before we went live, but I am feeling like what I learned in school was some malarkey, because what I'm seeing being carried out on a day-to-day basis is telling me that everything I learned in elementary school and junior high school and high school civics is almost abstract in comparison to what we are seeing play out right now. So, what is your message to older Americans that are trying to figure out, how do we even teach this stuff when it's being debunked right in front of our faces? And you're military. So I know on some level you have to be like, what kind of twilight zone am I living in right now?
Yeah, it's crazy. It goes completely against everything that you not only learn in school, but me in the military and basic training, all of these things. This is what I say to people is that this is what happens when you sit back and act like you are not a part of a system that you are clearly a part of. Even though you're only 13%, what people don't realize is the Republican Party that runs every branch, and that's what people don't get, is when you have one party in charge of everything, that's the judicial branch, the executive branch, and the legislation branch, you get what they want you to get. Even though they're only 35% of all the out of the parties, the independent party is the biggest party. But the way the government is set up, the independent party only gets to vote in like main major elections.
Yeah.
So the elections that really count the most are your local elections. Those are the ones because those are the ones that usually sprout up for people to go to the federal. Very seldom do you see people jump right into federal elections as far as a senator or a congressperson. They usually start at local. being a mayor, being a congressman, because all of those same things are in your local government as well. And they asking people, why aren't the Democrats doing anything? Well, they have no power to do anything. They can't pass anything. They can't stop anything from continuing to go. He's even stopping his own people from doing stuff. Just in the news, I'm not a fan of Miss Boebert, but she did a bill for clean water, and he vetoed that. So it's crazy that it's all about what he wants, what I think the forefathers never anticipated was that every branch would get together and start working on one agenda.
Yeah.
They never anticipated that everybody would just let one branch, one party continue to do the things. It's hard to get everybody on one page, but when you get it like this, and this is what happens. I tell people all the time, this country was, even though it has its bad issues, it was built on the honor system. It was built for people being honest and a man or woman of their word, and that they're not going to try to shun the other population to try to advance themselves. And we clearly have people in this administration that are doing that.
It was built on an honor system, not recognizing that it could be taken over by people with no honor. That is pretty sad. But I do want to get back to your curriculum because I think you are the right person at the right time for this curriculum. And I am super impressed about the biorhythms. That is genius.
Oh,
What
thank you. I appreciate
made
it.
you decide learning needed a soundtrack?
Well, I think that I was a musician before this. I owned my own studio when I lived in North Carolina, and I make my own. I do production and beat making. So I just know that when you hear it all the time, why does a little kid know all the words to the Cardi B song, but they don't know their times tables? Same thing. I applied that to this. That philosophy to this is that if you're learning it, if it has a good beat, a good hook, then the words come. Like those are the things that people entrench themselves with when they're listening to music. That's the first thing we hear is the beat right? Yeah, the beat is right. Okay, now I'll learn the hook.
Yeah.
Okay, the hook is good too. Okay, now let me start to really piece together what they're saying. And then that was my hopes when I created the bio rhymes, was that people would be intrigued to learn about Martin Luther King and Elijah McCoy and Carter G. Woodson and some of these Madam C.J. Walker, because it is right now, it's out on every streaming platform, and you can go to We Gonna Learn Today and go to our website and go to WGLTV, and you can listen to those same songs there as well.
You're doing some really good work, and I see that you are scaling pretty fast. Nonprofits, they struggle with scale. What systems did you build early on that makes it possible for you to scale at the pace that you're scaling at?
You know what? I will give the DOD their credit.
Okay.
By me being in some of these leadership positions, I learned how things go. Just like, and I started implementing that within the We Gonna Learn Today platform. So just like in the DOD, they always look for a 5-year plan. If you come in, what can you do for us over the next 5 years, and how can we continue to grow the thing? So when I built the platform, I built it on a 5-year plan. So just like if you go now and you go to the roadmap, you can see all of the individuals that are coming down the line that will continue to grow the site, because it is about 560 people in total that will be on the site, and each person has between 8 to 10 different activities. And then it just came from people's suggestions that when I do festivals and I have community talks and I do different things like that, people give suggestions of, like, in the beginning there it was just all English. People was like, well, you should put, you know, a Spanish version on there. I kept getting requests for that. So, and then people was like, how come it's just all in one? So I made it a tiered website. So now you got 12 and under, 13 and up. 12 and under is in English and in Spanish, and 13 and up is all English. Because in my eyes, I'm like, if you know, the younger kids are the ones that haven't fully adopted English and stuff. So they are learning at a, you know, it's easier for them to look at it in their native language and then kind of click over and see what it is in English. But it's broken down into smaller chunks for the 12 and under. So what I did was I basically just took that the things that I learned in the DoD in those positions, and I applied it to the website, because everything you see on the website is me. Like, I did everything on the website. I built it, I programmed it, I write the raps, I perform the raps, I do the beats, I do the animations, the pictures, all of the activities I've created. You know, I put it together, and you know, I just came up with this different, you know, way of doing things. I love to program. I continuously make apps and video games as well. So that is like a love of mine, because even though I am retired, I do this like kind of full time, because I am in different schools that I go participate and stuff, as well as colleges, especially here in Tampa and in St. Pete. Just been trying, like you said, to continue to grow, and it's all pretty much grassroots, because I don't, I refuse to take out a loan, because the whole point is not to go in debt for something.
Right.
The one thing that you do need to learn in business is that the people will let you know if your product is worth something.
Yeah.
You can have what you feel is the greatest idea, but if you have no people buying it or using it or purchasing it, then it wasn't as great as you thought it was.
Yeah. And I said the same thing about media and public relations. Like, everybody thinks their idea is newsworthy, and then you're like, actually, not so much. So
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
And speaking of media,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you've been very intentional about media. Why does storytelling matter just as much as the work itself?
Because that's how you relate to things.
Talk
That's,
about it.
you know,
Talk
when
about it.
you hear a story, that's what, like, brings you closer to not only that, just like when you read a book. You read a book and you suggest that book because either you went through it, somebody you know close to you went through it, and you can really relate to what came out of that book. Same thing with music, same thing with anything. With that's how we are as a people. We are a caring people, and we love when we can see something that we feel and it's manifesting over here, and we can relate to that. We want to be a part of that. So the storytelling helps you retain things. That's why I do the storytelling and stuff in the activities and things, is because, again, the whole point is, you know, I love all of the attention that people, the little clips that we see on Facebook and TikTok and all of that stuff. But where 10 minutes from now, ask that person, hey, about that thing, and they can't really tell you about that. That they was like, oh, I remember seeing it, but what was the contents
What was the
of it?
message?
And that's why I created the platform. Was it's a place that you can, if you sitting at the doctor's office and you waiting to go in, you can pull up We Gonna Learn Today and jump on and learn about Maya Angelou, do some activities, learn about James Baldwin or Elijah McCoy or Frederick McKinley. Yeah, even she's not she's in like I have a rap that's it's the 50 states. I thought it would be cool if I showed people that there are Black historical figures in every state that did things great. So I created this rap that not only teaches you the states, but it teaches you a Black historical figure that did something great in your state. And Zora Neale Hurston is in that for Florida, but she is not on the website yet. She's coming. She's just not like in the ones that's up there now. I kind of like let people dictate. No, she's on the site. She's just not active, like activated. Because when I built the site, I built, like I said, since I'm a one-man team, that's how I could tell you it's 500 and something people on the site because they're already built. The activity's already done. And all I got to do is just go in the background and flip a switch on. So it's not that she's just not activated on the site yet.
What resistance have you faced with this platform and the growth and getting into the schools and the collaborations? Where is the pushback coming from?
To be honest with you, I'm not getting very much pushback.
In Florida, really?
There are way more. Well, so I think it's because I live in Tampa. Tampa is more of a Democratic. A Democrats city. So they're more welcoming to the Black history and stuff. So I'm not getting now. I have been to West Palm Beach, and it's crazy because West Palm Beach has a great communication like programs down there. Like Rose Readery, she has a great nonprofit down there that does a lot of stuff for Black history and women's rights and things. And it's a great community down there, but you wouldn't think it, being that obviously he's in that same area. But there, I haven't really gotten a whole lot of pushback. And I think it's because I have the three things. Which is because even if they don't do the Black history, they still want the financial literacy. And even if they don't want the financial literacy, they still want the civics. Because all three of those things fall under the social studies curriculum in every school system. So.
Gotcha. I got a couple rapid fire questions here I want to ask you. One, give me the most underrated Black historical figure, in your opinion. Underrated.
What do you mean by underrated? Like they're just talked about?
Yeah, talked about, or doesn't really get the props he deserves, or she.
Well, I will tell. I got one for you. So there, and I talk about her a lot, even though a lot of people don't really know about her. And her name is Lisa Jaloter. She is so underrated, but everybody should know about her because she is those memes and everything that you post on your phone. She is the original creator of those. She created The Gift, and The Gift is the memes are created off of The Gift. But she's done other great things. She has a nonprofit. She was also the young lady that when the ACA kind of crashed when it first went out, the Affordable Care Act, she was the person they brought in to rebuild the whole system and get it back up and running again within days. She's done a lot of great things, but most definitely, a lot of people don't realize those gifts and memes and everything that they use on their phone every single day was made by a Black woman.
I love that. Give me one subject every kid should learn before graduating from high school. Most important subject.
Financial literacy.
Okay. Music or silence when you're working?
Music.
Okay. Nonprofit myth that needs to die.
Uh, Nonprofit myth that
Say it.
it's easy being a nonprofit.
Or
I
you should
said
be
it's
broke
easy
because
being
you
a
run a
nonprofit.
nonprofit.
And, oh yeah, that's another one that you can't make any money off
Right.
of being a nonprofit. Yeah, a nonprofit people don't realize is still a business, and you still got to file taxes. You still got to be accountable for what you say. Now I will say it is way more strict than an LLC or an S corp or a C corp. When because I have both. I have an LLC and a nonprofit, and
Mhm.
it is completely different. When you're doing that tax, they want to know where you put that money. Like, is people being paid? You got to have a board of electives that can help you control the nonprofit. You don't need none of that stuff when you start an LLC. You can just be
Right.
like, hey, I got an LLC and
Period.
start tomorrow. Yeah, you got to be more. You got to have more of a foundation when you create a nonprofit than you do an LLC.
Yep. Legacy or impact? Pick one and explain.
Are you talking about like do I,
For you,
my
what's the
legacy or
most important?
impact or
For you, what's most important, your legacy
impact?
or your impact? Why?
Well, I think if you have impact, you'll have a legacy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when you impact people's lives and help them grow or help them understand things that they wasn't seeing in the beginning, that you've helped someone else grow. Which
Yeah.
helps you grow. And then when you help a plethora of people grow, that's what creates your legacy. So if you have impact, the legacy will follow.
I wish more people understood that. I absolutely do. But Matthew, it's been fun. I want you to tell the people where they can find We're Gonna Learn Today and the workbooks and how educators and parents and partners can plug in and work with you.
So you can go to We Gonna Learn Today, WEGONNALEARNTODAY.com or .org. We are a nonprofit organization, so any donations you give are tax write-offs. We do look for sponsors and partnerships. You can also, the website is completely free. It's free to everyone. All you need is an email account, a Gmail or a Yahoo, or any email account. As long as you have an email account, you can join up on the site. Uh, there's a paperback library and a digital library. If you want to get the books, you can go to our paperback library and you can get them for cheaper if you buy from me. If you don't want to buy from We Gonna Learn Today, you can also get them on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes and Noble. They're on every major platform that sells books. And if you would like to learn about specific people, then you would go to our digital library and look up their activity pack, and you can buy those on the website as well. Again, the website is WeGonnaLearnToday.com, and there is a support tab at the top. If you want to make donations, it says support WGLT 365. And there's where you can make donations as well as do sponsorships, and you can see the different tiers on that page.
I love this. I so appreciate you being here. And for the rest of you, this is what controlling the narrative in education looks like. If this conversation hit for you, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with an educator, a parent, or somebody building something that matters, because this does. Matthew, thank you so much for being here, you guys, and we will see you next time. Hey, thanks for showing up to the podcast where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. When you get a sec, take a moment, leave a comment. What you think about today's episode, and share it with someone that you know could use the gems that were dropped today. Follow and subscribe. You don't want to miss who's coming up next. You never know who could show up here and what they could say. For your professional needs, marketing, PR, communications, and leadership, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Sand and Shores, or hit us up at sandandshores.com. Again, thanks so much for showing up. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.